Welcome back to another episode of Casa De Confidence. Today, I am so thrilled because what do you get when you mix a Harvard MBA, three kids under 10, and a pandemic? Well, you get a powerhouse mompreneur who launched a wellness brand from her kitchen at 8 months pregnant. Today in Casa De Confidence, we're joined by Leslie Danford, the brilliant founder of Vitaminis, a family-focused food and beverage brand changing the way we think about nutrition. If you've ever wondered whether now is the right time to start, well, this is the right time to start something new, and this episode will give you those answers. So welcome to the show, Leslie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I am thrilled to have you here because, number one, if you don't have your health, then it becomes very difficult to do all the other things. And this is one of the focus here on Casa De Confidence is that we believe health is one of the important components of living that confident life.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's that whole food is medicine, food is health.
100%. 100%. Now, Leslie, take us back to the moment you decided to launch Vitaminis, and what was the spark?
Oh, wow. It's hard to pinpoint a specific moment because I've always been interested in nutrition since I was a kid. So when I was small, my dad, who's a scientist, was the one who cooked our meals. And
how fun.
kind of different for back then, but my mom was a consultant. She traveled. And back then we didn't have cell phones, so she was gone. But my dad would prepare the meals and he would talk about them like, you got your protein, you got these vitamins, and it was like a math problem. So that's kind of how I always thought about nutrition. And I always kind of managed my own nutrition that way. But it's hard to check all those boxes with food alone. And at the same time, I never really loved vitamins and traditional supplements because of the pill format. That made me.
I hate that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when I was pregnant, it made me super nauseous. And then gummy vitamins, since those have become trendy, of course they taste good, but the serving size might be 4 or 6 gummies, and they're so sugary on your teeth. And so there were many years that went by where I was just kind of like dissatisfied or kind of struggling with this. And then I was working in the beverage industry, actually in the alcoholic beverage industry, several years. And we would see research come in about this particular issue saying people want clean label, nutrient density, functional foods and beverages. And I kept thinking like, yes, that's what people want. But I knew in that job, because I was in the alcohol industry, we weren't going to be able to do anything with that. So I started writing down ideas on my computer for a couple of years. Just writing down like, this is something, someone should do something about this. And then it took actually the pandemic and getting laid off for me to actually start taking action on it. I think it's easy when you look at someone from the outside to think that they just like all of a sudden quit everything.
Right. Yeah.
No, I had this list of ideas for years. And then I had moved into a hospitality job in 2019. And that company laid off myself and hundreds of other people during the pandemic.
Wow.
So I was home with my kids, back to managing nutrition and food, out of my routine. And because of COVID, it was like, okay, well, how do we keep our immune systems up so we aren't going to get sick and make sure we're getting all this nutrition? And I still struggled with pills and gummies. And that's when I started tinkering with the idea. But even then, I don't think I thought that I was like starting a company per se. I was like, I'm just going to play around with this idea and see what happens.
Well, I love the story, and I love how you talk about how it's years in the making. And you're absolutely correct. People kind of see maybe that delineated point and think, okay, all of a sudden you wave your magic wand and you have this thing and you're doing the thing, but it doesn't happen like that. Like I think back to, I also was laid off during COVID and I launched my business. However, I'd been coaching for a while. I'd been thinking about it for a while. I had a strategic plan that I was eventually going to implement, but obviously this made it happen much sooner. And I love that, when we talk about success, we want people to focus on the fact that success takes one step at a time, which sounds like you were doing.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
process, the
It
journey.
is the journey. Absolutely. Now, you were 8 months pregnant when you launched the business. Was there
Yes.
something specifically that was going through your mind? You said that, you were having a hard time with vitamins in pill form, which I get it. Sometimes I just can't, after a while, can't take them. But how did you start to manage becoming an entrepreneur in those early days and also obviously a mom, pregnant, and everything that was going on there?
Yeah, so in the very early days, I didn't know I was pregnant yet when I started tinkering with the idea. So
Okay.
that's part of it. I had the idea in late 2020, and then it
Hmm.
took me a few months of talking to friends and family, interviewing people, what do you like about products on the market? What do you wish was different? And just gathering data.
Hmm.
Um, and during that time, the schools were closed at parts of the time, and I wasn't working in a formal job. I was interviewing a little bit, but I did have to invest in childcare to
Yeah.
think about my business, which I think is an important thing to mention because
Yeah.
sometimes I think when people hear that now have 4 kids, they think I'm like full time watching 4 kids
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
launching a business. Like that is
Yeah.
impossible.
No,
And
impossible.
so it's a job. So I did in
Yeah.
the beginning have to kind of invest in myself in that way and,
Mhm.
talk to my husband like, hey, I want to work,
Yeah.
spend some time on this and get some childcare lined up. So I think that's important. You do have to make time to do it. Um,
Absolutely.
but
Mm.
then it's sometime around like maybe March, I realized I was pregnant. My daughter was due in September. And that's when I said, okay, at that point, I had a formula. I'd been tinkering around and I thought, I'm going to try to set this up to sell it online. And if I can get it done before my daughter arrives, then I can it'll be out there and I'll be able to take some time with her. So I kind of put a
Ooh.
deadline on things, or just
Okay.
in retrospect. So I ended up launching on Amazon.
Mhm.
No, I launched on my website in July of 2021, and I launched on Amazon the week before my daughter was born. And then my daughter
Wow.
was born, and I was able to, it kind of took some pressure off because I felt like I'd gotten Vitaminis out the door.
So good. Sometimes all we need is a deadline. I think that
Right?
many times, if we don't have a deadline, we kind of keep second guessing ourselves or we keep putting it off. We wait to be perfect, but a deadline is a perfect way to be able to get on the ball and get it out there. And I highly
Totally.
recommend my clients when they're struggling, oh, I want to launch a course. Well, give yourself a deadline and let's do it because that keeps your eye on the ball. Now, you pivoted during the pandemic, and what advice would you have for individuals that are feeling stuck or unsure about starting something new, especially now we're sort of in this uncertain times with the economy being low, and I'd love to get your take on it because you were interviewing, you had been in a corporate job, but then you had this shift.
Yeah. It's very incremental. So I think that's the advice I give is you don't have to quit your job, blow up your
Hmm.
routine, change
Yeah.
your identity all at once.
Yeah.
You can do tiny little steps to test what you're thinking, to learn a little bit more. And then as you do that, you will either realize it's not what you want, or you
Hmm.
will gain some confidence that you are moving in the same direction, or a little bit of data to make it a little
Yeah.
more specific. So I mentioned that my first steps was really just interviewing friends and family. And
Hmm.
I literally just typed up a little interview guide and I probably talked to 50 people.
That's great.
Um, just asking them questions, and that cost me nothing other than the childcare that I
Hmm.
had to
Right.
put in.
Right.
It was my time.
Hmm.
But if I was working a corporate job, that is something I could fit in maybe over a lunch hour in the
Hmm.
evening. Looking online to see like what other functional foods and beverages are out there, if any.
Hmm.
What are the other products? What do I like about them? What do I think they're lacking?
Hmm.
That is stuff you can fit in on a break, fit in the evenings, and
Yeah.
then as you're going, you'll get more clarity. And I remember after I'd come up with the concept from all this talking that cost me nothing,
Yeah.
I did have to invest a little bit of money to develop a formula, but
Hmm.
I was able to find someone through networking in some startup groups. I was able to find a food scientist who would do it for me as a project for
Ooh,
a pretty nominal cost.
that's awesome.
So again, it's not like you're mortgaging your home or like anything like
Hmm.
that. It was enough. It was not nothing.
Right.
It was enough that it was a meaningful amount of money, but it was not enough that if it was completely lost, it would
Right.
be okay. So I was
Right.
able to
Right.
make that small investment decision. And every time you do that, you'll learn a little more and you'll get a little confidence and you can make that next small decision.
Mhm.
So it's important to remember that because I did actually go back to work in 2022 for a
Mhm.
period of time for another company. So even then, I had not fully committed that I was going to work full time on this or,
Okay.
so it's a process. It's really a process.
Yeah, it is a process, and I'm so glad that you've mentioned and again, so smart. You did a few things that I definitely would recommend to my clients if this is the path that they're choosing. Interviewing the ideal people, the end user, and to seeing what are they looking for, what do they struggle with, and really fully understanding. It's so important in bringing something to light, whether it be a product or a service. And sometimes in our brain, we think, oh, people need this. And yet when we bring it to market, there's crickets. And the other piece of it too that I love is you invested into someone to help you with your kids and you saw it as an investment. I'm sure it continues to be an investment because when we think someone is doing something very cool and we think, oh, look at them, they have all the time in the world. They really don't. We ask for help and we find the people that can take a little bit of the load from us that allow us to kind of pursue those dreams. And I think that, oh, so good, so good. Smart founder for sure, Leslie.
Oh,
Uh,
but it's hard. I mean, I felt guilty at times,
of
like I
course, but
think
that's
that's
part of the
funny.
process.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to understand that is part of it. It's not like
Mhm.
you're not gonna feel good all the time after
No, no, not at all, not at
entrepreneurship.
all. No, for sure. And sometimes I have a cleaning person that helps us, and at times I just feel like, oh my God, I can't believe, and I should be doing this, or I should, not spend on that. But I think it provides me with the ability to then be able to have something that brings me peace, which is a nice, clean home, but also it gives me back time that I can sit outside and have a glass of wine with my husband and not necessarily focus on work all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now, you mentioned that as you were interviewing people, getting feedback, I would imagine that you saw gaps in the market in addition to what you had already noticed. What were some of the things that you noticed, and what are the things that now Vitaminis fills in those gaps that you found?
Yes. So a few things. One is the whole pills and tablets
Hmm.
really dominates the supplement
Yeah,
market. If you go into the grocery store or any store, it's like walls and walls of
yeah,
pills.
yeah.
And the more I learn about them, they are troublesome in a number of respects. They do make me
Hmm.
nauseous. And one of the reasons for that is
Yeah.
it's like this blast of intense vitamins and nutrients that hits your
Hmm.
stomach.
Yeah.
And that's difficult for you to absorb and
Hmm.
digest. And also, the pills themselves are made with sometimes extra additives to help them slide
Yeah,
through the machines. It could
that's
be
right.
made with petroleum additives, and they also can get stuck in your gut. So I've heard that when you get colonoscopies, or
Oh,
sometimes they find like pill sticking to your.
oh, that's not good.
So, the more I learned about that, the more I was really like, where are the alternatives? And there are gummies, but again, full of
Yeah,
sugar. My
full of
dentist
sugar.
has a plaque on the counter that says like, do not take gummies every day. So,
Really?
yes, yeah, they do.
Oh,
And because it's
okay.
it's a habit, and if you're doing it in the evenings, it's sitting on your teeth. If you're doing it first thing in the
Mhm.
morning, it's sitting on your teeth. With kids, it creates this like candy habit.
Yeah.
So what I thought to myself is like, where's the fortified food? And I think of
Hmm.
examples like, you can buy orange juice with calcium,
Right.
or milk with vitamin D. And I'm like, but where is that fortified food that gives you like a whole bundle of good things
Right. Right.
without all the added stuff? And that was a big gap. The other gap that I saw, it took me a little longer in my journey to kind of really understand
Hmm.
exactly, but I kind of intuitively found it before I knew that it was there, is that a lot of the shots on the market, juice shots, are fresh pressed juice, and they're
Hmm.
touting benefits from the juices, like the ginger juice, the turmeric.
Right.
So number one, they expire. They have to be refrigerated.
Hmm.
You got to eat them up quick, or the retailer's got
Yeah.
you can't get them shipped to your house. And
Hmm.
they have a lot of strong flavors that a lot of people don't like. And I personally don't love ginger. I know a lot of
Hmm.
people do, but it's like that punch in
Yeah.
the face. And then
That's how I feel about turmeric.
I don't mind it. I
Yeah.
don't mind it, but sometimes the strong flavors are a lot, you
Yeah,
know?
they are.
So that was another gap that I identified. And then I also noticed a lot of the other juice-based shots do not talk about vitamins. They
Mm,
talk about juice. And so
right.
there's like this great divide between vitamin supplements and
Hmm.
juice shots. And so I kind of thought, what about that middle ground, a juice shot
Yeah.
that delivers the vitamins and kind of
Yeah.
solves multiple problems at once?
Yeah, and I have to say, I've done the juice shots. I actually met, and she's phenomenal. I love the work that she does. She's local to me. But like you said, they have an expiration date, and
Yeah.
sometimes they go bad.
Yeah.
And then
It's
I
like
feel
pressure.
guilty because, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I'm going to throw it out. I'm not going to buy them. And then you don't buy them. And it's like a whole vicious circle when it comes to that. And, the one thing that I loved in doing some of the research is that you have 2.5 fluid ounces, right? And here I have a
Yes.
little bottle.
Yep.
And
I love that you have
for
it.
yeah, I love it. I saved it. I mean, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for the other ones to come because I placed an order. But the, for instance, this is the immune support, and someone who suffers with an autoimmune like myself, I
Mhm.
know that it's very important for me to get my magnesium, and I love obviously the flavor of the pineapple and orange. Those are two of my favorite flavors, so I love this one. And again, vitamin C. I don't love to take a lot of the big pills, and that's where that comes to. Now, the thing too that it's amazing, by the way, Leslie.
Oh,
There's 4 cups, as much as 4 cups of spinach in one
yes.
little thing. That could
Yes.
be like the spinach that I consume in like 3 meals.
I know. I think I need to make some sort of video where I like pile all the
Oh,
spinach.
oh my
Like,
God, that would be
yeah.
brilliant. I love that. And again, it has the avocados and the oranges and really, really good. For individuals again that are struggling because they need that immune support. Yes, we can get it from food, but it's so much easier to just take the things and
Yeah.
go about your day. So I think that that's awesome. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about the gut health, vitamin E. But for individuals who are listening, again, you mentioned the importance of understanding what people were wondering and what that gap was. How did you collect the feedback? What was your process?
Well, there were the interviews in the
Hmm.
beginning. And coming out of that, I developed that initial formula with
Okay.
that food scientist. And I did have to find someone to help me make it because these are in these little tiny bottles. And because we
Hmm.
didn't want to use any preservatives, you have to use a hot fill process to kind of kill all the germs and make sure it's
Oh,
stable without adding any junk. So you
okay.
can't just do it in your kitchen. I know a lot of entrepreneurs can
Mhm.
do their products in their kitchen, but for this, I could not. So I found a person to help me make it, a
Hmm.
small manufacturing plant. I convinced them to do a tiny run for me again, that
Yeah,
incremental, just a little bit.
right. Just a little
And
bit.
I put that product out on Amazon, and I also gave samples to all the
Hmm.
people that I interviewed, those 50 people, and then I set up a website to sell it. Um, and I did get a lot of feedback in the reviews, unsolicited feedback from people, and some of it, the thing is with feedback, you're going to get a lot all the time.
A
And
100%.
so just get used to that. It
Right.
doesn't mean the
Yeah.
product is terrible. Some of it is very, very useful, and some of it is like a red herring. And so, what I tried to do throughout the initial process was take a step back, not get too worked up over every tiny
Yeah.
bit, but look for trends.
Hmm.
So, if somebody says to me, like, oh, I don't really see the point, I eat enough vegetables. Well, they're not my
Hmm.
cup, so I'm going to move on.
Right.
But one piece of feedback I heard pretty consistently in my reviews and from people in that first batch was that the immune support was a little too sour. So I
Hmm.
actually used that feedback to tweak the
Hmm.
formula for the next um,
For the next
iteration.
batch. Yep.
And then as we've become more established and we have a little bit more volume, I use the reviews a lot. So I'll read all
Hmm.
the Amazon reviews. And through that, I learned that we had an issue with some of our caps a while back. So I had to
Hmm.
find a different way to manage that. Um, so yeah, it's a process, but feedback is so important. And again, I think looking for
Mhm.
the trends and not getting too hung up is
Yeah.
important.
I agree with you 100%. You know, when I was in the process of launching my book, one of the things that I did is also ask for a lot of feedback. When I came up with a cover, well, let's see, the cover in my book is not the cover that I would have chosen. But I really had to ask what would resonate, right? If you went to Amazon, what would kind of pique your interest? And it was a lot of the people who I interviewed who shared, you know, that we love this cover. And that's something that continues to help me as I grow my business. Now, of course, like you said, you are going to get individuals, right, that are out in left field, and every feedback piece of information is important, but not everything is stuff that you have to listen to. Not
Yes.
everything is helpful, and you have to learn how to sift through that.
Yes.
And it's so great. Now, let's talk about a little bit of the juggle that you have to do as a mompreneur. And you have a growing business that has needs and a growing family. And how do you structure your days?
Yeah, it's tough. I love routines, and so that helps me a lot. You
Hmm.
know, I have childcare, she has hours, and so I plan my days around that. I know when I have my childcare, that's when I'm gonna
Hmm.
get the most done. And when I am with the kids, I really try to be with the kids. So that's
Yeah.
one thing that it was actually really hard for me for a while, but I'm
Hmm.
getting better at it, which is to really focus.
Yeah.
If I'm with the kids, I'm trying not to do my emails on my phone.
Hmm.
Or if I'm
Yeah.
working, I'm trying not to let the kids interrupt me. You know, I have a do
Hmm.
not disturb on my door because
Right.
it takes away from everyone. So
Hmm.
that's a key factor.
Yeah, that's very good. And I think that creating the boundaries, one of the things that it's easy for someone like me and many of the listeners at times is we, like you said, are on the phone. Oh, I move and my camera moves. Sorry. Uh, I'm on the move and the camera's on the move. But yeah, we have to set those boundaries. And for someone that works from home, I typically just close the door to the office. And when I leave the office at the end of the day, I typically leave my phone in the office so that
Ooh,
during dinner and that time that we're spending as a family after dinner, it's not something that I'm tempted to be on the phone and not be present. And I
that's
think that
smart.
that's something that, of course, you learn with practice. And I wonder, because you've had this successful career prior to being a mompreneur, how did you define success before? And now I would imagine that maybe your definition has shifted.
Yeah, it's such an interesting question. I've never been asked that question before. I think when you're in a traditional career,
Hmm.
your role is defined, your goals are defined,
Yeah.
and you define success based on that. So it's
Hmm.
really externalized, right? You're like,
Yeah.
what do I need to do to hit your goals? What do I need to do? I mean, they're your goals too,
Yeah.
but you don't own them the way you do when it's your own business. So that's a
Mm,
big shift for me is that, um, in my professional career, everything was just a little bit more structured. I
mhm.
knew what I needed to do and I could
Right.
get it done. And that was success to me. And of course, I also wanted to make sure that I was spending time with my kids and all of that. But because someone's paying you to get a job done, it's like you
Yeah.
get your job done first, and then
Hmm.
whatever's left is whatever's left. And
Right.
what I love about owning my own business, and it's also scary, is you define what you're going to
Yeah.
do, what your goals are. And
Hmm.
the scary part is there's nobody out there to tell you, is this right or wrong? Is this
Hmm.
the right priorities or not? But it forces you to get to know your own values and your own
Yeah.
priorities
Yeah.
through the process
Absolutely.
because that's the only way to do it. And so, I do. I definitely have more time for my family now than I did in my corporate career, but I'm
Hmm.
also so much more invested in my work. It's so interesting because it's like I'm putting more of myself into work and family. It's like I got more out of both. So
Yeah. So fun. I think this is the thing for entrepreneurship that um, it's hard to turn off, right? And that's what one of the reasons I leave the phone because I get excited about what I'm working on or maybe something that I have coming up. And I have to create that boundary and create that. But definitely success definition shifted totally when I started my own business. And it's the little things that change and the things that matter in different ways, I would imagine.
Yes. And I do think you have to go with your intuition a little bit more because of
Mhm.
that lack of definition. So
Yeah.
I kind of step back and think like, how do I feel about how things are going? Do I feel like there's any areas that I'm
Hmm.
missing? How do I feel about my kids? Am I giving them enough
Right.
time? And then adjust accordingly.
Definitely. Now, being in the corporate world, you were a leader within the organizations I gather, and there's leadership that we learn through the roles that we have in our corporate environment. I know that a lot of my leadership skills also came from my corporate career, but there are some things that I had to unlearn when it comes to the things that I learned in my corporate career. What have you, if anything, had to unlearn from your corporate world?
Interesting question. A couple things. I think in my corporate experience, there was a lot of like, this is how we do it. This is how
Hmm.
we do it.
Yeah.
It's like this rigidity.
Hmm.
And it was beneficial then to question things sometimes, but
Yeah.
often it was best to just do it the way it needs to get
Right.
done.
Right. Just
And I
follow the
think
system.
I've had to unlearn, have had to unlearn that. There are a lot of areas where some systematic process is
Hmm.
helpful, but
Hmm.
most of the time I have to be super flexible, very kind of like ready to turn on a dime, respond to things, tweak my approach, tweak my product. Things do not go according to my plan almost ever, like almost ever. So
I love that.
I've had to unlearn that. And I think the other thing that I've had to unlearn a little bit is, again, in corporate, everybody has roles and responsibilities and
Hmm.
it's very defined. So you walk into a room and because you have a certain title and a certain role, everyone knows what you need and you've got certain authority and whatever. And entrepreneurial world is a wild, wild west. Nobody cares about my MBA. Nobody cares about
Yeah.
anything I've had. I have no title. And
Hmm.
so I've had to shift into a little bit more like influencing and selling a lot of just like
Yeah.
whoever I'm with, like if I want to get something done with them, what's in it for
Hmm.
them and what do they care about and how can I kind
Hmm.
of get them on board? It's so valuable. Like now that I think about it, I didn't have a lot of those opportunities
Hmm.
the way they present themselves now.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different mindset. So I've had to unlearn this sort of like, this is how we do it, and this is who I am, and this is what we're going to do, to like a
Yeah.
little bit more collaborative, influencing, and
Hmm.
flexible.
Yeah. I was watching an interview with the founder of, I forget the name, but he was on Shark Tank and he got rejected. And his product is this energy gum. Now, I don't chew gum, so I'm not their target person. But a lot of what he was saying, right, is that it's about being and influencing people and letting them see why they could benefit or what's in it for them, like you said. So that was a very very fun interview. I love watching other entrepreneurs and founders be interviewed because we have to kind of write the book as we go. Now, I know for me, one of the things that I've had to learn is when I was in my corporate career, there was always an operations manual. There was always a guideline for how we did things. And when in doubt, go back to, the company, I guess, operations or guides or
Policy.
policies. Thank you. I was missing that word. But as an entrepreneur, there's no clear right answer at times. How do you handle decision making without necessarily having that clear roadmap that we would have in a corporate environment?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think I've always been a little bit like this, even
Hmm.
before I was an entrepreneur, but I just take the action, the best action that I think is appropriate. And then I
Hmm.
remind myself that nothing's permanent. I think back to like when I launched that first formula that we had to tweak. It was okay. Like we just
Hmm.
made a little different next time. Or,
Yeah.
I've now changed my packaging. I've changed a lot about the business.
Hmm.
I've reversed some decisions, but then other decisions that felt risky or were risky worked
Hmm.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think of it that way of like nothing is permanent and
Hmm.
but you have to take the action. Like I think the entrepreneur's worst enemy is this analysis paralysis.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because especially if you're a solo entrepreneur, if you do not do anything, nothing will get done. And
Mm.
that's it. Like you got to go, you got to do something, and you can always adjust.
Yeah. Adjust is the name of the game because I think that, being fluid and being able to not have rigidity as we go along and test new things and learn new lessons, it's going to serve us very well. Now, I mentioned that the immune support, but the other vitamin E is on gut health.
Yes, and we're just
Love
launching a
that.
third one that's not even on the website yet that I can tell you
Oh,
about.
do you want to tell me about it? I can't wait.
Yes, it's daily greens.
Oh my gosh, so
I know
good.
this
Okay,
one is going to be an exclusive in Sprouts for a couple months. So
it
that's
is amazing.
I'm so
Oh,
excited. So
that's
Sprouts
great.
this one, and it's only going to be in Sprouts locations starting in July
Mhm.
21st for a couple months, and then it'll be on our website. But it's vitamin A as much as a cup of kale, vitamin
Okay.
E as much as three kiwis, and as much
Ooh,
vitamin D as a cup of mushrooms.
oh my God,
But it's in a
that's really
green
good.
apple pear juice, and you can see it's green because it has spirulina and broccoli powder, but it tastes
Right?
like apple pear juice.
Apple pear juice. Oh, that sounds delightful. And that I am a big taste person. Like if it doesn't taste good, I'm out. And
Yeah.
this is I actually I've been taking vitamins that are liquid, and I'll tell you, I made the investment and didn't love them, and there they go
Yeah. It's
because
tough. You're not alone.
yeah, the
And that's
taste has to be,
it
and
has
I would
to.
imagine that it's really hard. And again, and it's funny because my husband takes them and he loves the taste. So it's not that they have a
Everyone's
bad
different.
taste. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of your taste buds.
hmm No, that's
Yeah.
really important. And that was actually something I learned when I was in the alcohol industry too. Like taste
Mhm.
is number one. Like it has to taste good.
It does. It has to taste good. I like it. And for me, the other thing too that I really liked about Vitaminis is the fact that no sugar added. Tell
No,
me a
no
little bit
added
about all of
sugar.
that. Tell me because, again, no sugar added, no preservatives.
Yep.
And how do you
Super
make something
clean.
taste so good without the sugar and all that?
Yeah, it's the fruit juice.
It's the fruit
So
juice.
when I designed Vitaminis, I wanted to use a fruit juice that delivered some of the vitamins, but then
Hmm.
amp it up by adding a lot of other good
Okay.
stuff. But
Hmm.
juices naturally taste good. And when it's
Yeah.
only 2.5 ounces, like this only has 5 grams of sugar because
Right.
it's 2.5 ounces of
Hmm.
juice.
Yeah.
And that's really it. You don't need
Hmm.
to add anything. And it's funny when I was working on my formulation, like I've now worked with a couple different formulators. I was like, don't you want to add some, erythritol or
Hmm.
like
Right.
no, or don't you want
No.
to add
Yeah.
some color? No, you don't need it because fruit juice is tasty.
Yeah.
So that's really how we do it.
Absolutely. And by the way, in a household like ours, where my mom is gluten intolerant and dairy free, and my husband at one point he was a vegan, but he's considering going back. This is like a perfect match for us
Oh,
because,
awesome. Yep.
I
Vegan,
hate the sugar.
non-GMO.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's clean.
Very, very good. So now I don't have a Sprouts near me, so I'm gonna have to wait until
Oh,
they're all
yeah.
in the website to
Well,
go
if you want to
and
buy the daily green, send me a note. I can
yeah.
maybe make some.
Oh, you're so good to me. You're so good to me. But yeah, it really is a tasty drink. And for individuals who maybe are looking to kind of figure out how many should they take? Can they take more than one of
Yeah.
the 2 ounce bottles? Yep.
Yes, these three products you can mix and match however you
Okay.
want. It's fine to take more than one. We do recommend not more than one of each type because, for
Okay.
example, if you get too much magnesium, it might upset your stomach. So
Hmm.
one per
Hmm.
day of each type.
Gotcha. Hmm.
My best customers on subscription usually do a 12 pack every month. So
Hmm.
that's 3 shots a week. So they're
Yep.
kind of working it into their routines. You don't have to like do it every single day.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I like that you don't have to do it every single day because when you have to do something every single day and you forget, then you feel guilty.
Yeah, it takes the fun out of
It's like
it.
it takes the fun out of it. Yeah, absolutely. Um, the stuff that we really like to talk on the podcast too is understanding that, as founders, as women who are moving in this direction to build dreams, to help others, we want to make sure that we're also pouring into our own cup because otherwise we can't really pour into somebody else's. What are some of the things that you do specifically to make sure that, you're not running on empty? I mean, obviously you take your
Yeah.
Vitaminis, but
Yes.
what else do you do?
No, eating nutritiously is an important one, right? Fueling your
Yeah.
body. I love yoga, and it's funny,
Ah,
I've been doing it now for over 20 years. Just
oh my God, amazing. I love
and
yoga
in
too.
the beginning, it was like a workout. But
Mm-hmm.
what I've realized over time is it's also a mental exercise
Yeah.
because you set aside everything for that time. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be very present. It's really hard to think about anything else when you're putting yourself in these poses.
Yeah.
And it forces you to sit with discomfort, which is so important, right? You put yourself in
Yeah.
the pose and you just breathe. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that has really served me in so many areas of my life, honestly, including entrepreneurship, because it's like, okay, I have no idea what's going to happen. It's very ambiguous. I'm so stressed. I'm very
Yeah.
uncomfortable. It's going to be fine. Just breathe.
It's gonna be fine. Just breathe. Absolutely. The yoga journey for me is something that it definitely was life changing. I hated yoga when I was in my 20s. I thought, who does this? This is crazy. And as I continued to go through my life, I then started practicing more, and it was more like, okay, let's get fit. And then all of a sudden, I realized that it was a lot more than that. It was a
Hmm.
lot, and it helped me in the times in which I was really struggling to be able to the show up in my mat in a vulnerable way and know that it was okay to show up in life like that, and that
Hmm.
I could just take a breath. I didn't have to, hold a pose for too long. I could go back to my child's pose. And so much so, it's one of the reasons I became a yoga teacher, because I
Oh,
wanted to
yeah.
understand more of the fundamentals. Now, I don't teach to people, I teach myself. So that
I
is,
love that. That's amazing. But I
yeah,
was thinking too, the whole idea that you fall out of the pose, you just get back in
you
it,
just got
right?
back at it.
Same thing
Yeah.
with life and entrepreneurship. If you fall down, just get back up.
Yeah, that's right. Now, I am intrigued because you sell the products on your website, but you also have them on Amazon. What was that
Hmm.
process like to get products in Amazon?
It was quite involved, and I
Okay,
have
that's what I
to
thought.
say, I have a little respect for that, honestly, because I know now, having gone through it, that you can't just be a seller on Amazon, any old
Hmm.
person just selling any old stuff. You
Right.
have to prove your identity, and
Hmm.
like there's a lot of kind of like background and
Okay.
administration that goes into it. I did hire someone, an ex-Amazon employee to help me get set up on a project basis, and that was really
Hmm.
helpful. I think back to your point about getting help,
Yeah.
I knew there's a lot of technicalities about it, especially if
Hmm.
you want to do keyword advertising and just getting up to speed with how to
Yep.
get started. So it was quite a process, but I will say once you are up and running, it's a well-oiled machine,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I ship my inventory to them, they fulfill the orders. I
Hmm.
get the reviews and it works, but
Yeah.
it's just a little bit of an upfront investment to get up there.
Hmm. Yeah. Now, you are in Sprouts, as you mentioned, with a new product. Are you in any other stores?
Yes, in the Midwest, we're in Fresh Time and
Okay.
Mariano's.
Okay.
And then we have a couple of other regional partners. We're with Earth Fare in the Southeast. We're in
Hmm.
Fairway Markets in New York City.
Yeah, I saw
We're-
that. I love Fairway.
yeah, that's a great partnership.
Yeah,
I'll be out
they're a
there.
great organization. I love them. I lived in New York and, moved to Connecticut from New York, but I miss my fairways. And
Oh
anytime I go into
yeah,
the
it's so
city,
great.
I'll go in and I think, oh my goodness, look at this. They have everything. And it's so beautiful and so
It's
beautiful.
an experience.
It's an
Yeah, it's
experience for
amazing.
sure.
And then on the West Coast, we partner with Northwest Grocers, which is like a collaborative
Okay.
of independent grocers.
Independent. Okay. That's really great because you're covering a lot of different, from Amazon to your own website and then to the retail outlets. So that's really good. And I would imagine your experience in the alcohol industry, right? It brought some help. It helped you to be able to create the distribution and all of that.
It helps a bit. It helps a bit.
Yeah.
But I think what's helped me the most is other entrepreneurs. And that's
Hmm.
another piece of advice I always give people is there's some kind of hesitancy sometimes with reaching out, like you don't want to share your idea or you don't want to bother
Hmm.
someone or whatever. But I make it a point when people reach out to me to connect and share what I
Hmm.
know. And likewise, I've learned
Yeah.
so much from either in groups, like entrepreneurial groups or individuals, just telling me what worked for them.
Mm.
And that has helped me a lot more than any direct experience I've had.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good. I met a woman in Florida last year. Her brand is Inspiro Tequila. And
Oh yeah, Mara,
and
I know
yeah,
her.
Maura, you know Maura. Okay, I figure
Yeah,
when you were talking about sharing, I thought, oh, she reminds me of Maura. So no wonder
so
you know each
funny.
other. So great. I love her. And by the way, it's the tequila, it's delicious. And I drove to Massachusetts to go and get it because we don't have it in Connecticut yet. So,
Wow,
uh,
that's amazing.
yeah, and when we find, well, for me, when I find women entrepreneurs that are doing this type of work, I just love to be able to see the process because sometimes we don't see behind the scenes of what someone has been doing. And we need to find that inspiration. Now, what kind of experience do you need to have to begin any type of, I guess, distribution, or you can just kind of get going if someone is listening and has a great idea that maybe they're not sure what to do to bring it to market.
I think you can just get going. And I
Mhm.
think
Yeah.
you have to start small. One challenging thing in this industry is that everybody wants to see the proof before they
Mhm.
give you the chance. And
Yeah,
it's like
that's
the
so
chicken and
true.
the egg problem. Where do you get that first
Mhm.
person to get to care? So for me, with Vitaminis, we started online and we got some
Mhm.
reviews. I was able to take that data to a local retailer near in my
Mhm.
town, get a chance, and even that I had to
Yeah.
follow up multiple times. So it's not
Well,
like I just
follow up's the name
walked.
of the game.
Yep. And he gave me a chance, and then I got some data from him, and then I took that to another local retailer that was part of a bigger
Mhm.
chain and got him on board, and then he told his colleagues. So it's like these baby steps that just
Mhm.
each little step, think about what you need to get out of it from like a credibility standpoint and then focus to get that. And that continues, right? I mean, I just
Mhm.
got into Sprouts in July and I know I need to make this Sprouts launch successful. So I'm going to
Yeah.
focus on that and that'll lead me to the next
Ooh, well,
thing.
you know what? We'll put the episode up to coincide with the
Perfect.
launch. So I'll
July
talk to our
21st. That's
producer.
when it will
Okay,
be in stores.
amazing. So make it coincide the week before so that people can get
Thank
excited about that. I think
you.
that will be really fun. Um, is is the product where you want it to be, and what can we expect from you?
Yes, I'm always tweaking. I'm
Mhm.
always improving. So I'm making some minor tweaks to my formulas and making them even tastier and even
Mhm.
richer in nutrients.
Okay,
But in big picture, I would love for Vitaminis to be a platform of products. I call it mini bites and sips, everything mini, everything nutrient dense. So
amazing.
I'm envisioning like we could have stick packs of our products to mix into
Mhm.
your water bottles. Also mini
Ooh.
bites, like little fruit bars that have nutrition in them without
Oh,
any
I love the
added.
idea.
Yeah, I think of
Amazing.
those That's It bars. I don't know if you've ever seen those That's It bars where it's just a,
No.
but like just fruit with vitamins, nothing else, no
Okay.
sugar, no weird stuff.
That's so
Um,
good. So
so
good.
yeah, so that's my goal. And I think Sprouts is our first national retailer.
Hmm.
So my focus is to make that successful, and then hopefully we'll find our way into even more retail locations so more people can find us.
Yeah, I hope so. And, in the meantime, if you don't have a Sprouts near you, get on the website because the experience was very easy. And you can subscribe, which I love. I love subscribing to stuff, with my mom. She takes a lot of pills and her gut health is something that I'm working on. So these are kind of like a heaven sent for me because
Oh,
I can give them
amazing.
to her and she has
Let me
fun taking
know.
a shot. Yeah,
Let me know what she thinks
definitely.
of it. We get a lot of really good reviews on the gut health. It's the probiotics and fiber.
Yep.
A lot of people with like IBS or kind of chronic gut conditions tell me
Yeah.
that it really helps them, and
Yeah.
they've made it part of their routine to just stay.
Yeah. Well, I shared mine with her for the gut health when we got it. But I think that this is so brilliant again for someone that like my mom that takes a lot of pills. Then this is one more thing that she can do for her health, and it's not going to require a lot of swallowing of pills that can become kind of annoying. So
Yes.
so good, so good. Well. I could probably talk to you all day because I'm a fan of the work that you're doing. I'm a firm believer you have a customer, and I am I actually just, I was telling my girlfriends over the weekend, I'm like, oh my God, you got to try them.
Oh, you're
So yeah,
so
so when they
nice.
come, I'll share it with them. But because yeah, this is brilliant. And for someone that is busy on the go, you can mix it in with your smoothies and so much, all the things. So thank you for being here, Leslie. I so appreciate you. Will you come back and let us know how you're doing? And anytime that
Yes.
you have a new product coming up, you have a friend here in Casa de Confidence. Come and share it with us.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. My friends, make sure that you go and you check out the website, which is vitaminisbrand.com. Of course, they're in Amazon, but don't order through Amazon. Go to the website. So much easier. And, if you find Leslie in all of the social media platforms, we are going to tag her on all of the platforms. But make sure that you also go, let her know that you found her through Casa de Confidence and order and share this episode because there's someone in your life that you're going to give the gift of health. And we all need to be healthy as we go along our lives. So thank you again, Leslie, for sharing with us so much. And until
Thank
next
you.
time, my friends, go confidently in the direction of your dreams.